There's a moment most people know too well. See, you're lying awake at 2 a.m. The to-do list are running laps in your head. You can't seem to slow your breathing. Maybe it's a thought of how someone looked at you today. Maybe it's something someone said to you today. So you stare at the ceiling, thinking, what the hell is even happening right now? It's chaos. And not the dramatic kind, the everyday kind. Work stress, relationship tension, financial uncertainty. Your kid acting out. That gut level feeling that life's spinning and you're barely holding onto the wheel. See, when we hit chaos, our instinct is simple. Escape it, numb it, avoid it. We scroll, we binge, we blame. We build the illusion of control to avoid the discomfort of uncertainty. But here's the truth no one tells you. You see, chaos isn't a detour. It's actually a doorway. It's the place where the masks fall off, where the false certainty dies, where the things you've been avoiding finally rise to the surface. And in that space, uncomfortable, unscripted, raw, you can finally start hearing what life's actually been trying to tell you. Welcome back to Hard Truths, the show where we cut through the noise, challenge the way you think, and talk about the things that are really holding you back. Today's episode isn't about cleaning up the chaos. It's about listening to it. Because when everything feels like it's falling apart, you might actually be falling into alignment. So let's talk about it. So before we talk about transformation, we have to understand what chaos actually is. Because it's more than just a messy schedule or a bad week. Chaos is what your brain feels when the map no longer matches the territory. When the systems you used to rely on, routines, relationships, beliefs, start breaking down or stop working. That gap between how life was and how life is right now, that's where the storm brews. Psychologically, chaos activates your threat response. Your amygdala. It lights up. Cortisol floods your system. See, your nervous system shifts into fight or flight mode because your brain isn't wired for peace. It's wired for prediction. So when things stop making sense, you don't just feel lost. You feel unsafe. And here's what most people don't realize. The mind would rather cling to familiar pain than face unfamiliar change. That's why we keep repeating patterns. Why we stay in jobs we hate. Why we avoid hard conversations. Because chaos isn't just disorder. It's ego death. It's the shattering of the version of you that could coast through life without questioning it. But inside that breakdown is data, feedback, insight, opportunity. Chaos is what happens when life refuses to let you live unconsciously. And that's where the growth starts. When chaos hits, most people don't respond. They recoil. We try to restore normal, fast. We double down on routine. We grasp for control. See, we avoid hard truths by clinging to old habits, people, distractions, anything that makes the uncertainty stop buzzing. But here's what we're really doing. We're trying to end the discomfort before we extract the meaning from it. Think about it. How many times have you gone through something hard, only to realize later it taught you more than any easy phase ever did? See, chaos doesn't just shake things up. It shows you what's solid. And here's the kicker. Your first reaction to chaos will either unlock you into the same cycle or launch you into your next evolution. So let's break it down. If you numb out, you delay clarity. If you blame others, you miss the mirror. And if you collapse, you build an identity around helplessness. But if you pause, if you observe instead of react, if you get curious instead of defensive, then chaos becomes a catalyst. This is what neuroscientists call cognitive reappraisal, your ability to reframe a stressful experience as meaningful instead of threatening. And it's not just mindset fluff. Studies from Stanford and the University of Colorado show that cognitive reappraisal literally reduces the amygdala activity while increasing resilience, boosting memory recall, and improving long-term goal orientation. Even the American Psychological Association recognizes reappraisal as one of the most effective emotion regulation strategies for increasing psychological flexibility. So here's a deeper truth. When you're in chaos, your interpretation of it becomes your most powerful tool. Because pain isn't processed, it gets repeated. But pain that's reframed becomes wisdom. See, the chaos isn't here to break you, it's here to wake you. And if you're willing to pause long enough to stop running, to stop fixing, to stop blaming, you can start listening. That's when patterns start making sense. That's when buried truth starts rising. That's when the chaos becomes instructive, not just destructive. Because sometimes the storm isn't in your way, it's in the way. So let's talk about how to make meaning from the mess. So say you're in it. You're in the fog, the fight, the phase where nothing makes sense. The instinct, of course, is to fix it, escape it, rush it. But meaning doesn't show up on demand. It's something you cultivate through presence, through perspective, and pattern recognition. See, psychologist Viktor Frankl, who survived the Holocaust and went on to write Man Searches for Meaning, taught the meaning isn't found in comfort. It's created in suffering. He said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. That's the essence of what we are talking about here. Meaning is made in the moment where you choose to give the pain a purpose. Not in a way that sugarcoats it, not in a way that skips grief or anger, but in a way that says, if this is happening, let me become the kind of person who can carry it well. You see that shift from why is this happening to me to what can this create in me is how you move from victim to author. And there's science behind it too. Narrative psychology shows that how you story your life affects your emotional well-being more than the events themselves. Dr. Dan McAdams, who coined the term narrative identity, found that people who create redemptive stories from hardship tend to have higher levels of resilience, fulfillment, and mental health. Meaning doesn't erase chaos. It makes it survivable. But it doesn't explain every detail. But it gives you a reason to keep going. So if you're in the middle of a mess, don't just ask how to end it. Ask what it's asking of you. Because that question, that's where you start the shift. So how do you actually move forward when things still feel messy? This is where I used to get stuck. I'd wait, I'd stall, I'd tell myself, once things calm down, I'll get focused. But chaos doesn't take a break. It just shape shifts. And I realized that waiting for peace is just how you miss your own power. So here's what I've learned. You don't wait for clarity to act. You act and build clarity through action. See, movement creates momentum. Reflection turns motion into meaning. So let's walk through 4 essential practices that help me stop spiraling and start grounding. Each one is small, but backed by psychology and deeply transformational if you practice with them intentionally. So first, I want you to create space before you react. When life gets overwhelming and your emotions start to spike, your nervous system gets hijacked. You go into fight or flight mode, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking. Your prefrontal cortex, it goes offline. And your amygdala, the emotional alarm system, it takes over. But here's the science. Emotions, in the raw chemical form, only last about 90 seconds in the body. That's it. Unless you keep replaying the story, the change actually fades fast. So here's what I want you to do. When you feel yourself about to spiral, I want you to pause. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't hit send. Just breathe. Let 90 seconds pass. That's enough time for you and your biology to shift. That's enough time to choose how you want to respond instead of just reacting on autopilot. Try it the next time you get a passive-aggressive comment or a triggered text. That 1-minute pause might save you from hours or even days of unnecessary conflict or regret. See, this isn't about being passive. It's about reclaiming your power to respond with clarity instead of chaos. In that space, that's where self-control lives, not repression, responsibility. Number 2, I want you to ask, what's the next true step? See, when chaos hits, our brain goes into overdrive, trying to solve everything at once. But that flood of urgency leads to shutdown. This question, what's the next true step, brings you back to center. Not what should I do, not what will fix this, just what's true, what's honest, what's aligned. Maybe that's drinking water. Maybe it's calling someone. Maybe it's writing one paragraph. See, the point is, small aligned action beats a large reactive effort. So when everything feels overwhelming, don't try to fix your whole life in one move. That's not how progress works. Your brain doesn't need total resolution. It needs traction. What's the smallest thing you can follow through on today? Do that. That's where clarity begins. Third, I want you to rebuild safety with small, repetitive actions. Have you ever felt completely out of control, but oddly calm by making your bed? That's not random. That's called patterned predictability. See, your nervous system loves repetition. It thrives on it. Doing something small, like walking at the same time every day, or brushing your teeth slowly, or even making coffee without checking your phone, tells your body, I am safe in this moment. So here's what I want you to do. Choose one small action and do it with full intention every day. Maybe it's making your bed, brushing your teeth, or turning your phone off at a certain hour. But do it the same way, with the same rhythm, on purpose. These small, repeatable actions are signaling your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm consistent, I'm showing up. And lastly, I want you to reflect while you're still inside the storm. And this one's really important. Here's the lie. Have you ever thought to yourself, once this is over, Then I'll figure out what it meant. But clarity doesn't only show up in hindsight, it shows up in reflection. During one of the hardest months of my life, I started leaving myself 1-minute voice memos each night. What I noticed, what felt hard, what I wanted to remember. Here's what I want you to do. Don't wait until the chaos ends to try and make sense of it. Track your experience while you're still in it. Voice memo yourself for a minute at night. Write a few raw thoughts in your notes app. Ask, what hit hard today? What felt off? What surprised me? That's what experimental learning really looks like. It's not waiting for the dust to settle. It's learning in motion. When you reflect while still living the moment, you start to build clarity as you go, not just in hindsight. And the more you reflect while still moving, the more resilience you build, not just after the fact, but in real time. So these 4 tools aren't magic, but they are powerful, and they give your nervous system rhythm. They build micro proof that you can trust yourself, and they create a kind of self-awareness that doesn't just carry you through the chaos. It transforms you inside it. So let's close it out. Here's a truth most people never hear in the middle of chaos. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to stay in the room with your life long enough to hear what it's really trying to teach you. See, chaos doesn't mean you're broken. It means something old is breaking open. And maybe, just maybe, that's what needed to happen for you to see clearly again. So this week, don't try to escape the chaos. Don't try to fix all of it. Just pick one moment to breathe, one pattern to pause, one insight to write down. Not to solve it, but to stay awake through it. And if this episode helped you find clarity in your own storm, share it. Share it with someone else who's in theirs. Tag me at Danny Levin. That's DANNYLYVIN. And let me know what truth hit you hardest. This is Hard Truths. And today's truth, maybe you're not off track. Maybe you're just in the part of the story where the real meaning starts to show up. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.